Has Bitcoin bottomed for this cycle? What if I told you that Bitcoin could sell off below $20,000 again before bottoming and making a new all-time high? My name is Eric, my nickname is Irked, and I've been investing in the stock market since 1998. I always enjoy performing Bitcoin studies when my insomnia wakes me up at 3 in the morning. Since Bitcoin's current all-time high is only 6.9% higher than its previous all-time high, I went back through the charts to identify all the times Bitcoin made a new all-time high of 10% or less to see what happened afterward. I measured how big the drawdown was and how many days it took Bitcoin to bottom from where it made its all-time high to where it did finally reach its low. I found 6 occurrences besides the one that we're currently in. So let's take a look at each one and see what happened. The first happened from March 7th to March 24th in 2017. As you can see, Bitcoin made a new all-time high that was 7.61% greater than its prior all-time high. It then sold off 33.49%. Bottoming 52 days after it had made that new all-time high. The next occurrence was June 12th to July 16th of 2017. Bitcoin made a new all-time high of 7.55% higher than the prior one, and then pulled back 39.53% in 34 days. It took a couple of years before we saw a similar occurrence again. The next time happened from March 13th to March 25th in 2021. Bitcoin made a new all-time high that was 5.8% higher than its prior all-time high, and then pulled back 18.45% in 12 days. A few months later, Bitcoin would make another new all-time high, 5.06% higher than its prior one, and then pulled back 55.69% in 69 days. Later in 2021, Bitcoin did it again, making a new all-time high 3.24% higher and then pulling back 14.35% in 8 days. Finally, Bitcoin finished it all off in November of 2021, when it made a new all-time high that was just 2.98% higher than the prior, and then pulled back 77.57%, not bottoming until 376 days after it had hit that all-time high. So looking at the current situation, we've seen an all-time high that was 6.9% higher than the prior all-time high, and we've pulled back 33.27% from that all-time high. Now, the good news is this isn't the shallowest pullback that Bitcoin has ever made from an all-time high before making a new one. So it is possible that Bitcoin has bottomed at this point. Now, 7 data points is hardly a statistically confident study. However, I've seen many analysts in both stock and crypto use fewer data points in a study to come to conclusions. The critical lesson from the study is this: it's not how significant the drawdown is that makes the biggest issue. It's how long does it take Bitcoin to recover? March and July 2017 saw similar pullbacks to what we've seen so far, of 33.49% and 39.53% respectively, whereas our current pullback is 33.27%. However, both of those occurrences bottomed far sooner than we have so far, taking only 52 and 34 days respectively to our current 144-day pullback. While there have been more extreme pullbacks, like April to June 2021's 55.69% pullback, Bitcoin bottomed in half the time, taking only 69 days compared to our current 144. In fact, given that there's only one drawdown from the 6 prior data points that took longer than 69 days, the one from November 10th, 2021 to November 21st, 2022, the objective, unbiased Bitcoin analyst must acknowledge we may be very far from the bottom. I've developed some downside targets using the data points that we've discussed in this video. If Bitcoin saw a 39.53% drawdown, that would give us a downside target of $44,601. If we saw a 55.69% drawdown, that would give us a target of $32,682. Finally, if we saw a drawdown as epic as the one from November 2021 to 2022, a 77.57% drawdown, that would give us a downside target of $16,544. Since I am a professionally trained statistician, it would make me a hypocrite to suggest that there was any kind of statistical validity to this study. Because of that, I can't tell you how likely it is that we've bottomed right now or that we're going to see a 77% drawdown. However, throughout the investment industry, we often perform studies like this because the time frames and the amount of data we have is actually surprisingly small. Even in the stock market where we have 200 years of data, that's still not enough to regularly perform studies. You usually need significantly more data points. So we go with what we have. My conclusion is this: I am hopeful that Bitcoin has already bottomed. But whenever I go into situations like this, I have to plan for any scenario. Bitcoin is the most volatile asset I have ever been involved with. The drawdowns are always more extreme than anyone expects. So I created a strategy called trade to hodl, which I use to protect myself against downside risk. To learn more, you can watch that video here, and you can subscribe to my free Substack about Bitcoin, which comes out every week at getirked.substack.com.